Even before Narendra Modi landed in US, there was a big controversy brewing. What happened? Ajit Doval, India's national security advisor, was charged in a US court by Pannu, who's the so-called leader of Sikhs for Justice or some organization like that. And he was charged with trying to assassinate him. Not only was he charged, there were some accusations against the government of India. Now this is a serious matter if you think about it, but the Indian government had possibly three ways to respond. One would have been to cancel the trip altogether. The second would have been to continue as is. And the third is what the Indian government actually did was very interesting. Narendra Modi carried on his trip to the US just as he did the last time or the time before that, and he was accompanied by India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. But Ajit Doval did not land in the US, he landed in Paris. And what was he discussing? He was discussing with the French on India's procurement of nuclear submarines, aircraft engines and more. Now the people who were trying to conspire against Ajit Doval and the Indian government must be wondering what has happened, because the first two responses are the more likely responses, that either you just react harshly or you react with nothing. But this reaction showing that India has other options when it comes to weapon acquisition or transfer of technology is a very balanced, nuanced, but still a stinging response. And why do I think so? If you've been following my videos on this channel, you would have noticed that I have done at least 5 to 10 shows about the Indo-US relationship. If you don't know, this relationship has been going downhill since September 19th last year, when the G20 had just ended and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made some unsubstantiated allegations about India trying to assassinate some Sikh leaders. Now just before Modi landed there, this wasn't the only thing that the Americans did, as in charging Ajit Doval with this. They also met with Khalistani leaders in White House. Khalistan, really? If you ask any Indian analyst, any journalist, any politician, Khalistan is a non-issue in India. So why is the America, UK, Canada, all the Five Eyes basically, including Australia, why are they jumping up and down on the Khalistan issue? It's very difficult to understand. But one possibility is that they have nothing else. And if they have nothing else, what is forcing them, or what is their desire to have some leverage on India? Whatever be that desire, it doesn't seem to be kind of having or meeting its objectives, as they say. So what is it that Narendra Modi did? What were the messages he sent when he was there? First of all, he met Joe Biden personally at his Joe Biden's home, and we know what is Biden's situation, mental and physical, so it's a non-meeting in itself. So nothing much was expected and nothing much happened. But the fact that Modi went to his house is something, it's something that Biden will appreciate, even if he wields no power. Secondly, there was speculation, and that speculation was kind of feeded by Donald Trump when he said that he's going to be meeting Narendra Modi when he comes to town. So that didn't really happen, and Narendra Modi did not meet Trump, at least publicly there's no such news, and he also did not talk about the elections, he did not talk about Kamala Harris. So in a way he kind of ignored the whole rhetoric around India supporting one side or the other, or retaliating about the American interference in Indian elections. So all of that didn't really come to pass. And I think it's a signal that the Indian government is like, either they know who's going to win, so what's the point of doing this, or they think it's on such a nice edge that either you meet none of these two people or you meet both of them. So whatever it is, that also didn't happen. But what did happen was that Narendra Modi went up and met a lot of technology CEOs. Now, anyone who's been following India-US relationship in the last 1 year will know that Narendra Modi has invested a lot of his time, not just in India but abroad, by building relationships with the technology czars, if I may call them. And he has been very forthright in his expectation, his ambition to make India a technology superpower. At least bring India on par and not be left behind. And that is shown by his 6G, his push for making India ready for 6G, rolling out 5G completely with the India stack, and also his push on the India superb semiconductor manufacturing. Now these matters, they appear like just economics, commercial matters, business deals, but they are actually hiding a story behind. Now, when Modi is there, he could have also met with politicians, he could have met with petroleum CEOs, chemical industry, or the automobile industry, Tesla's CEO Elon Musk. He did not do that. He only met with the technology CEOs who matter to India right now. Now remember, there is speculation about de-dollarization that has been on for at least 2 years, if not more. And that push is expected in the BRICS meeting coming up very, very shortly. Now, India, from what I understand, is unwilling to go by the American push to adopt Bitcoin as an alternative. In fact, 2 years back or so, the Indian government banned crypto in many ways, as in they taxed it and they have a lot of regulations. Some of the players have gone out of business. So India hasn't really adopted Bitcoin. Instead, India is building its own digital currency. RBI has been working on it. It has already rolled this out for some people. So some businesses are using this and some B2B transactions are happening. So whatever it is, India has not been really cooperating with the Americans in terms of de-dollarization. They have also not cooperated when it comes to the Russian oil. We've talked ad nauseum about this, so I don't want to go again into that. But at the same time, one has to understand that the Americans have been going after India in a big way. And what is that big way? They've been surrounding India by this regime change in Bangladesh. There's been major changes in Pakistan. There are things happening in Nepal. There are things happening in Bhutan. There are things happening in Sri Lanka. In fact, a communist has been elected in Sri Lanka. A lot of you will say, well, he's a communist, he's pro-China, he's not pro-US. But honestly, at this point, India is facing as much of a problem with America as it is facing with China. With China, it is really about mercantilist kind of policies for trade and their eagerness to take over Indian land on the borders. And if you balance these two, you will realize that it is easier to handle China because better known beast, if I may, even though CCP hides a lot of things that they do. But honestly, it's the American doublespeak which is problematic, because they talk about democracy and then they oust an elected leader like Hasina, and then they ask India to kind of work with them even when a lot of minorities are under attack, and India is not supposed to bring it up. So the American hypocrisy is really, really driving this relationship into a corner. I don't think it will break. In fact, a lot of deals have happened, a lot of deals will continue to happen, a lot of good things will happen, but it's starting to border on level of hostility that you would not have with partners or strategic partners. You will have it for enemies, not even competitors. And I don't see this kind of tone even for China. Even if China does 10 times more vicious activities and arming the Russians or whatever their hand may be in the Israel-Hamas conflict, especially with regard to what happened on October 7th itself last year. But when it comes to India, the Americans seem to be very scared. Now that's a good thing because it means that India is doing something right. But the reason it's not a good thing is because the Americans are doing everything to stop it. Everything. And they've dispatched Donald Lu, who's their expert regime changer. They're doing things on the trade side, they're doing things on the military side by delaying the Tejas aircraft engines, the G404. But at the same time, the business side of things is going pretty okay. So a lot of American companies want to come here, establish base. India is a growing market, and I think things are kind of heating up in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. Even the real estate sector, I'm told that big players like Blackstone and Vanguard and whoever, they've been investing big time in Indian real estate, especially the commercial space. Now, if that is true, one wonders why is the political side not aligned to the business side, especially with technology firms. I personally have a lot of reservations about the platforms, the social media platforms, the way the algorithms are designed and run. But at the same time, India seems to be benefiting from a lot of this technology, I must add. But at the same time, one has to say China did a much better job of kind of competing with the US in these areas. So when it comes to Modi's visit to the US, one has to say that the fact that he went there, he had a meeting with Joe Biden, he had that Quad meeting, which was nothing significant because US itself has downgraded the meeting. It was supposed to be held in India, it was postponed because Biden couldn't travel here, so Modi went there. So all of that optics happened, but no one's talking about Quad because it's really delivering nothing as of right now. I know there's a lot of stuff in there about Coast Guard and all of that, but honestly that's not substantive at a strategic level. Operationally, yes, there might be some nice things to come out. The one thing I did notice was that Japan and Australia definitely take Quad very seriously, and they really are trying to be nice to India, if that's the right term, diplomatically. So I think this meeting was like not that important. The third thing that Modi did was to attend that UN summit which was there, not the UNGA address which was given by Jaishankar. So, and followed by this technology meeting. So all of this put together will suggest that India has a very clear path in mind when it comes to how India is going to manage this relationship. And another thing that happened just yesterday is that there was a defense agreement between the UAE and America, and this is to do really with the IMEC, which is the India Middle East corridor, and which has to go through UAE before it goes to Saudi Arabia. And in this meeting, after this meeting, there is a trilateral meeting that's going to happen, and I think Ajit Doval will be a part of this. So I think a lot of the things that the State Department especially seems to be doing is out of frustration, or they don't like India personally, or if it's strategic, it's very poor strategy, I must say. I mean, people who've been in the business for 20, 30, 40 years doing diplomacy, I mean, you're charging Ajit Doval for a crime which, even if it has happened, it's like you're hosting terrorists in your country and you expect the country who's trying to eliminate them to kind of give up their own national security advice. Americans need to wake up. Otherwise, India will do that job, I think, in the next 2 or 3 years. And I think it was not a good look. So the US needs to really, really understand that these actions are making it extremely unpopular with the Indian population, because India, unlike the US, has free media. So you can get all sides of the view on Indian mainstream media. I'm not talking about social media. So on mainstream media, you will hear this kind of criticism or this kind of commentary, which in the US is not possible. So India has a free press. India held free elections. free and fair elections without violence. And even on these two counts, America is found wanting. So I really think there's no difference, much difference between China and America, except I will say that the personal freedoms that the Americans enjoy are surely superior to what the Chinese can enjoy. But when it comes to political choices, political expression, even mainstream media control, I think the Chinese and the Americans are joined at the hip, whatever it might look like. But India is the actual democratic country in all of this. So I think this visit was great. It went well, and this will hold India in good stead in the days and weeks to come. A lot of things are happening. I couldn't cover everything here, but I'll come back and update you. So thank you for watching. If you liked the content and if you liked what I had to say, please like it, subscribe, comment on it, and share it with your friends and family. So have a good night. Bye-bye.